pressure, I'm only filming. It's only YouTube. Whoa, that was close. Oh, got it. All right, here's my hand. I ran into some buddies there at the trailhead. Gnarly Arlie and Gus Gibbs. Very fast local Boise guys. As you can see, it's warm out. Those guys took their shirts off. I mean, I don't think it's that warm, at least for me. But anyway, I did not plan to do this review. I just got kind of inundated or flooded with comments about the Catamount from my last ABC test with the 005 and Prodigio Pro. So I figured, all right, I'll get out here, do a quick AB Catamount 3 verse 4, get there at the trailhead, doing construction, loud beeping noises, plan to do a little intro. Then I ran into those guys. So complete happenstance. So this review is totally ad hoc. I'm running this first segment, which I had planned to do in version 3, get a good feel for it before maybe coming back, repeating the loop with one version on each foot, 3 and 4. So go back and check out my most recent ABC test and you'll see I was surprised that the Catamount 4 held up very well against the very hot right now Prodigio Pro and 005 from Norda. Different kind of shoe for sure. Watch that video for all the details. Also go back, I did a first look on the Catamount 4 on Road Trail Run. There's probably some details in there about the upper. Spent more time probably looking at that. Also, full written review as well. There's a range of comps in that written review. Maybe some other shoes to think about. So just finishing up this section right here, it's gonna be in the range of 35 to 40 minutes. I still love this shoe, have to say. It's just so flexible. I love the fit. Very secure through the midfoot and the heel, widening out in the forefoot. I have a US 10, which is a half size up from my true to size. Same with the Catamount 4, and I find that perfect. Don't have to worry about any big toe rubbing, pinky side irritation. It's just great at that half size up and secure. So getting that extra space at the front does not sacrifice anything throughout the rest of the shoe. It's just flexible, good ground feel without letting every single pokey thing through. You know, just enough where you feel comfortable taking it out on a lot of different types of runs. I'll see how that feels when I have both shoes on, the 3 and the 4. The 4 definitely has more underfoot, 2 mil front and back, plus a P-Bax plate, which is less flexible, more protective. I don't know if it's thicker, but definitely a different feel. I'll see once I get them on. Shoe change here. All right, I'm gonna run the same loop, maybe not as far up. One shoe on each. Digging a ditch behind me here, so I would typically talk a little bit more about this shoe as I'm switching, but I'm gonna have to do that on the trail. So right away here, I'm noticing a difference between the stack heights, cushion underfoot. By spec, version 4 gains 2 mil front and back. Spec'd at 34.28. Both shoes have 6 mil drop. I measured it, double checked it. I got 33, so, you know, a little bedding down. It's about accurate. The spec on V3 was 32.26. And I did just measure this pair before I left the house, and I got 30. I've got about 80 miles in this version 3 on my left foot. So if you're taking away 6 mil from what I measured 30 at the heel, that puts 24 under the forefoot. So that's quite a big difference from say 28 in the V4 spec. So with what I've got on my foot right now, that's a 4 mil difference underfoot. And that's both heel and forefoot. Again, this one, I think I've got around, about 45 in V4 and probably double that, maybe 80 in V3. You know, it's a spec 2 mil difference, but with what I've got, I'm feeling 4, or I measured 4 actually. So it does feel like a big difference. In terms of the feel of the cushion, whether one shoe is softer, I know some reviews have, I don't know, maybe been mixed on this. I think it's just very hard to tell due to that factor, the stack height. You know, I'm 4 mil closer to the ground in the forefoot. It's hard to judge unless they're two drastically different foams. I mean, this is Loft, DNA Loft to DNA Loft V2. It's the same nitrogen EVA in a different formulation. So they're very close. You know, my V3 has got 4 mil less stack, flexible plate, not the kind of more aggressive, I would say stiffer P-backs plate in V4. So it's just hard to gauge and say one is drastically softer than the other. The bigger difference is really the pure volume of foam and also the differences between the two plates. I'm not calling any difference between softness of the foams. It's just, you can't really tell. All right, I'm gonna turn around here, but before I do, I'll take a quick look at the uppers. Both US 10, I have a full thumbs width, so these are spacious for me. I would say you could go true to size if you'd like. I just have trouble with Brooks in the past, maybe with some irritation here. But going a half size up from my true to size, these are perfect. Both have excellent midfoot hold, same. Maybe notice in the front, seems a bit more height in this one. This seems to kind of pucker. It could just be the way it is, but the way that the laces are pushing this up, and this one may be a little down, but similar vertical space, no problems. In the rear, you've got less padding with this one. Again, it's a more flexible shoe. You get really good flex with this one, so it's not as urgent to really dial in the heel. It just kind of sits in there naturally. They really beefed up the bolstering in here, on the interior around here, all the way around. And I assume that's because you might be able to tell you have that plate and the flex is more, it's less flex throughout. In my ABC, you saw I felt a little tiny touch of heel lift, but really not much. Being that they added that padding, zero issue. I would not complain about that. It's just, it seems like they did that because the plate is stiffer here. Again, you see this is quite flexy, stiffer on this one here for sure. Other than that, the platforms are the same. I think they're identical at the midfoot under the rear. I had them side by side. This is actually maybe 2 or 3 millimeters wider here, maybe just to get a little extra or save a little extra weight. They might have slimmed it a little, but just a touch on this one, more or less the same. So talking about the ride, love the 3 because it's so versatile, has that ground feel, less ground feel in version 4, more cushion. Again, can't tell too much difference in softness. There's just more of it in V4. V3 I mentioned in other places. It's a shoe I've never raced in, even though I liked it so much. And the reason being, it kind of sits in this odd middle ground. It's 9.5 ounces. Version 4 is 9.9, does gain a bit. It's not a super light speedster, and it has that ground feel. It's not super cushioned for perhaps longer races or even mid-distance races. I couldn't peg a race for me personally where I would take those version 3s. With version 4, adding that 2 mil, and effectively by my measurements, even more, it puts it more in a racing category. I mean, you want that cushion. You don't want to feel like your 4 feet are getting beat up towards the end of even a 50K or something like that, depending on how rugged it is. So V4 just gives you that added volume of cushion underfoot, and also with the plate, it makes it competitive as far as speed, being a bit quicker, not necessarily as versatile as V3. You don't have the ground feel. I love the V3 just for kind of training, I would say at this point, but there's so many options out there. I'll probably never race in I'll never race in V3, but V4, definitely a racer. Definitely could think of scenarios where I'd want to race this shoe. So if any of that makes you more interested in possibly picking up a V3, someone did comment on one of my videos that they saw it for like 50% off at a local REI. I did a quick Google search and I was seeing them online for about $100. $100 for Catamount V3 is a deal. I mean, get it for the summer, it'll last you through the whole summer for training. And if you like it, you can do some shorter races in it. The 4 is $170 and it's been out for a while, so if you're thinking about that V3, maybe jump on that before they sell out. So that's a wrap for this quick A/B look here. I hope that answered all of your questions. For a quick summary, more cushion, more volume of cushion with V4. Softness, difficult to tell. It really comes down to just the volume of cushion. More ground feel in version 3. More flex. It's a flexible plate. V4 gains a touch of weight. It's stiffer, but I think it could still handle its own reasonably well. It is faster. The plate, the stiffer P-Bax plate, is quicker off the ground, more reactive. Again, you lose flexibility but gain speed. You gain that cushion. It's a more raceable shoe in, say, mid-distance ultra range, and shorter. If you just think something like version 3 would be too thin underfoot for even something shorter, like say 20 miles, 50K, whatever, marathon. The new version really puts you in that ultra racing range. Again, I saw Mario Mendoza ran Kodiak 100K in these, no problem. He said he loves them. I ran the race in Vective Pro 2, and I could easily see running that race in these, but probably not version 3. I think if I were to do, say, 100K, Kodiak 100K in these version 3s, my forefoot would probably be pretty sore. And that's ultimately the difference between these two shoes. Quickly looking at the outsoles here, really not much difference. Both 3.5 mil lugs, similar shapes, traction, durability I find is excellent with Brooks. They're going to be about the same. You'll notice there's some segmentation here. I talked about this in one of my Instagram posts. This shoe is so flexible. See how this one twists? They probably kept this all connected just to add some torsionality, is that a word? To this shoe. Here, again, you're dealing with a stiffer plate, a little more foam. See how I could bend it? Right about here is the flex point here, but everywhere else is, you get a little bit, but I'm having to force it a little more. Definitely stiffer, so I probably segmented this out just to give it, not make it too rigid at the heel. You see it's pretty nice back there actually for a stiff shoe. Again, just quickly looking at this, easily flex. You know, there's way less foam, as I said, with the specs. So there you have it.